I'll introduce, this is Cassidy Metcalf, who made the parts, and this is Pete Michelinie, who made the cabinet. And Charlie Shackleton, who came up with the idea of this collector's cabinet. And I think I had a collection of hand-blown glasses, which we'll see a photograph of, but I really want to make a nice cabinet. And I realized in the making of this that a lot of people have collections. And if you put them into a cabinet that's lit up and looks really special, that it makes you really focus on individual objects. And I think I got very excited because I was watching Cassidy make parts one day, and I thought, wouldn't it be interesting to watch Cassidy learn to make a specific shape? So Cassidy, I wanted to ask you, what did you think about this project?
Well, I thought of it as the joining of the two mediums of furniture and pottery, and it was fun for me because I numbered all of them. I used Roman numerals carved into each of the bottoms, so you can watch my progression over time, and it was all about the development of my skill, and then seeing them all together in the end as one piece. Sort of, they can be looked at individually, but they're also part of the whole.
So if I had to ask you, like, of this project, which I've been yapping on about a lot, is there one thing you learned from this project, or you particularly enjoyed, or you thought was interesting? What would it be?
Well, the first thing that came to mind is a challenge, actually. I learned that it's really hard to make a piece on the wheel that's less than half a pound, because normally I'm used to throwing with half a pound of clay for the mugs and the bowls, but these were all a 1/4 pound each, and that's how I kept them more or less consistent. But so throwing with a 1/4 pound, it's just such a small amount of clay that I had to kind of struggle and wrestle with it and really wrap my hands around it. So that's one thing that I learned. That was a new skill, to be able to throw something so small.
I mean, one of the things that I've been very aware of is that every shape there is different, which is obviously to do with handwork, and it's almost impossible to make them exactly the same, right?
Mm-hmm.
But they're all beautiful in your own way,
right.
In their own way. So going now to Pete, did you enjoy making the cabinet?
Yeah, I did. It was a fun challenge. It had a lot of tight tolerances. It had some tricky work around the miters, which you can see the corners of the piece have the fluting and the gold-leafed molding that come together, and it's actually the fluting in particular that's a challenge to get that to line up, and it requires actually a slight altering of the dimension of the case. That's before you actually fit the fluting into place. You have to measure the fluting and know, based off of how often the flutes occur, what size you're allowed to make the case in order to get it to line up.
I know that it seemed like the original idea was incredibly simple. It was like a box and with some shelves in it, and there was a whole lot of details that we worked on, or you figured out for me, such as the lighting, the lock, how the gold would be applied as a bead, all that sort of thing. So it's actually a pretty complex piece altogether. Are there any other parts of it that you really enjoyed thinking about, or?
Well, it's a big, heavy door for the dimension, so doing 3 hinges was required there, and that adds another level of difficulty when installing it and getting them to line up. And then the lock had to be altered. I really enjoy doing a small bit of metal work along with furniture, so when I get to take apart a lock and file some bits out so that it can be, in this case, it had to be oriented 90 degrees so that the keyhole looked like a keyhole and that it wasn't sideways. So things like that are fun. All in all, it was a complex little piece, even though it is just a box.
And how do you feel about the pots inside the cabinet?
They're great. I love having Cass's pots in there. It's a cool collection, and it's very neat that they are all different, and it gives you reason to see the difference. Sometimes you don't notice that, especially if the potter is trying to obtain a singular object many times. But in this case, you can see variances that you know, for whatever reason are beautiful, and it's fun to look at them and compare.
And Cass, did you ever think about what they might be used for once they were done?
I think they'd be good for taking shots of whiskey.
Not sake or tea or putting Easter eggs into.
Those are all good too.
Well, anyway, it's a really beautiful combination. Thank you guys so much for making it.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks.
That was good.
That was great.
Was that good?
Yeah, well done, you guys. Thank you.